Running on Empty, a My Little Pony fan fiction. Written by Always Dresses in Style. Read by Western Caves. Yeah, this is one of the first fanfics I've read. And I just reread it and forgot how crazy this was. That body armor's pretty good. So yeah, thought I'd do a fanfiction reading of it. Anyway, here goes. We'll start off with the prologue and do the first chapter, too, which is qualifying and press conference. So, here we go. Prologue. Well, folks, we're losing the 18 to 35 male demographic. And do you know what's killing us? Brian France, CEO of Nascar, directed his question to the rest of the board of directors. Football? Baseball? No. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, is absolutely slaughtering us in the ratings. The boardroom went silent in shock before the executives burst into laughter one by one. Oh, that's a good one, boss. I'm dead serious. This show for little girls has apparently managed to attract an adult male fan base known as bronies, and we're going to tap into that, replied France, a look of cold determination on his face. How do you propose we do that? I'm thinking we'll test the waters with a few special paint schemes. Maybe we can do a tie-in with their season finale and feature each of the main characters on the hoods of a few cars. Dale Earnhardt is probably rolling over in his grave at that thought. Great idea. We'll get Dale Earnhardt Jr. to drive one of the cars. Okay, people, let's do this. Get Junior, Hendrick Motorsports, and whoever owns My Little Pony on the phones and make it happen. As the rest of the executives left the meeting, most were shaking their heads and grumbling. Of all the recent changes meant to fix the declining viewership, this was by far the worst suggestion. The only thing NASCAR and My Little Pony had in common was the bright colors adorning their respective cars and equines. Rick Hendrick sighed and knocked on the door of NASCAR's most popular driver's RV. There was no way he'd ever agree to this, so he was going to have to trick him and hope for the best. Junior opened the door and ushered his car owner inside. Pick a color. Blue, pink, orange, purple, white, or yellow. I guess white. Why? Special paint job for the Las Vegas race. There are 6 options and you get first pick. Sounds good to me, Junior replied as Rick left the recreational vehicle. He propped his feet up, cracked open another beer, and didn't give it another thought. Three months later, Rick Hendrick was busy filling out paperwork in his office when he heard a string of obscenities coming from the shop. It was fairly easy to guess what had caused it. Dale had walked in and was greeted by Rarity's face adorning the hood of the number 88 Chevy. He poked his head out of the office and shouted to Dale, "Just think of all the money you'll make on the merchandising. Some things are more important than money. Dignity, for one." He stormed out of the race shop, slamming the door on his way out. With the rest of the employees standing there and looking at him with their mouths hanging open, Rick shrugged and said, "That actually went a lot better than I expected." Like it or not, Dale had a job to do, and that Friday he showed up at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for qualifying. He was surprised to see 2 of his 3 teammates also had ponies adorning their car. Jeff Gordon's number 24 featured Applejack, while Jimmy Johnson's number 48 sported Pinkie Pie smiling face. Remembering that Rick had given him 6 choices, he strolled down pit lane to see who the other 3 unlucky drivers were. Hearing cursing from a few pit stalls over, Dale figured that'd be as good a place as any to look first. Sure enough, the Furniture Row Chevrolet of Kurt Busch was also decked out in a pony paint scheme, much to the ire of its driver. Whoever had designed this car had done a clever job, as Fluttershy was timidly peeking out from behind the car's racing number, 78. Dale kept walking, not wishing to be collateral damage around the notoriously short-tempered Bush. A purple unicorn beckoned from the hood of Tony Stort's number 14 Chevrolet. Dale reflected on this for a moment. Tony owned his own team. Why would he ever agree to something this stupid? That left one last car to find, though by now he had traveled almost the entire length of the garage area. The only pair of stalls left belonged to Joe Nemechek's Nemco Motorsports. Sure enough, the number 97 Toyota Camry featured a flying blue Pegasus on the hood and rainbow stripes all around the car. Sure is colorful. Sure is, replied Dale, turning to look at the driver of the Rainbow Dash car, 1988 Series champion Bill Elliott, sitting on a folding chair and enjoying a soda. The rainbow wheels are a particularly nice touch, but doesn't it bother you to be driving this? Nope. At this point in my career, I'm just happy to be at the track at all. Joe wants me to park it a lot on lap 16 with a vibration anyway, so it's not like anyone's gonna really pay much attention to me anyway. Vibration? Yeah, I think I might start and park this one too. Thanks for the idea. Catch you on Sunday. 16 laps in, beer at my RV. Qualifying went smoothly, and 5 of the 6 bona fide cars made the race on speed, with Bill Elliott using a past champions provisional to start in the 43rd and final starting position. The big surprise was when Brian France himself insisted that the 6 drivers participate in a press conference immediately following the time trials. The 6 racers followed NASCAR's chief to the press box and were surprised to see 6 colorful ponies waiting for them inside. What on earth? Asked Jeff Gordon. Swearing could be heard from the 3 of the other drivers, while Bill Elliott and Jimmy Johnson just looked at each other and shook their heads. Darlings, really? Is there need for such language? You're in the presence of ladies, and we wish to be treated as such. Rarity scolded Tony, Dale, and Kurt for their choice of words. I don't take no orders from some stinking pony. Well, first of all, that's a double negative. Twilight Sparkle corrected the driver. So if you don't take no orders, that actually means you do take orders from a pony. Secondly, I do believe you'll find that Rarity's hygiene is above reproach, and she would find fault with you calling her stinky. Thank you, Twilight. Rarity waited until everyone's attention was elsewhere and quickly gave herself a little sniff and thought, perhaps I used just a little too much perfume? If I may interrupt for a minute, I'd like to introduce you to your respective ponies, everyone. They'll be spending the weekend with you, culminating in watching the race from your pit stall on Sunday, said Ryan France. He was met by groaning from most of the drivers. Look, it's one thing to agree to have a pastel-colored horse on my car for one race, but come on. You expect me to babysit a freaking pony all weekend? No, Tony, actually. I expect Twilight Sparkle to keep an eye on you and make sure you stay on your best behavior, replied Brian. That was met by chuckles from both the press and the rest of the gathered drivers. Tony had a bit of a reputation for getting in fights, especially with members of the media. He continued, Twilight Sparkle, may I introduce you to Tony Stewart, a 3-time Sprint Cup champion. Tony, this is Twilight Sparkle, the most powerful unicorn in... Where are you again? Ponyville. Right. As I was saying, she was the most powerful unicorn in all of Ponyville. Charmed to meet you, Mr. Stewart. I've been studying NASCAR racing for the last 2 months, ever since we were told that we were coming here for this race. I've read every single book on the subject, and I've memorized the stats of every single driver to ever start a NASCAR Sprint Cup race. I'll get you back for this, Tony whispered into Brian's ear as he went to stand alongside the purple unicorn. I actually know absolutely nothing about ponies. Oh, well, that's okay, because I'm willing to teach you absolutely everything about our society to you. I should start with Princess Celestia. She's my mentor. She raises the sun each and every day. Tony groaned. Apparently, the unicorn was an expert on everything except sarcasm. His eyes glazed over as she continued documenting equestrian history. I see our next pony is just bursting with excitement. Rainbow Dash. Allow me to present 1988 Series Champion Bill Elliott. Bill holds the record for fastest qualifying lap ever recorded in a NASCAR stock car and is a 16-time most popular driver. Bill, this is Rainbow Dash. Fastest Pegasus in all of Ponyville. Not just Ponyville, I'm the fastest Pegasus in all of Equestria. Rainbow Dash rubbed her chest. This is so awesome! I was watching you out there today, but you just never did get up to speed. You just wanted to start last to give yourself a challenge to make it to the front, right? You might say that, replied Bill Elliott. Awesome! I love doing that too. You're gonna utterly dominate the race. There's no way you can lose with me gracing the sides of your car. You're the optimistic type. I like that, Bill replied, knowing full well he didn't have a shot at winning unless the other 42 cars all dropped out of the race within the first 15 laps. He just hoped the little pony wouldn't be too disappointed when he didn't win the race for her. Speaking of exciting, Pinkie Pie here loves throwing parties. Pinkie, meet 5-time Sprint Cup champion and this year's Daytona 500 winner, Jimmy Johnson. He's the only driver in NASCAR Sprint Cup history to win 5 straight titles. And I bet Pinkie would love to throw you a party for winning the race on Sunday, wouldn't you? You betcha! But Jimmy's not gonna win. But I'll make sure he gets the best 14th place party ever! 14th place? Asked Johnson. You know where I'm gonna finish? But the race hasn't even started yet. It's my Pinkie sense, silly! Oh! That also means I know who's gonna win. The winner's right here in this room. Of course he is. My main man here, Bill Elliott, is gonna absolutely smoke everyone come Sunday. Dash gestured a hoof towards Bill, whose face turned the same shade of red as his hair. Several of the others in the room laughed at the implausibility of that scenario. Moving down the line, Rarity. May I present Dale Earnhardt Jr. Looks like Jr. got the right pony. Wins are a real rarity for you to come by, Kurt laughed. Which one of us actually won a race last year? Oh yeah, that would be me, replied Jr. And which one of us got fired from Penske Racing for cussing out Dr. Jerry Punch? Brian continued, glaring at the two drivers. Dale's been the Cup Series' most popular driver for 10 years straight. Dale, this is Rarity, Ponyville's premier fashionista. Rarity did the closest thing to a curtsy as her quadrupedal stance would allow. I know a few things about popularity as well. All the Canterlot elite just adore me. You know they say you must dress for success. I noticed you're the only one here not to be introduced as a previous champion. While most popular is definitely something to strive for, I suspect we can improve your finishing position immensely if we make you look the part of a successful race car driver. What's wrong with jeans and a t-shirt? Oh my, this is worse than I feared. Fashion emergency! Doing his best to draw attention away from the unicorn measuring Jr., Brian France continued. Applejack, I'd like to present you to 3-time champion Jeff Gordon. Jeff, this is Applejack, who runs a successful apple farm. Boy, howdy, I reckon this is gonna be a fun race. I guess so, replied Jeff. He whispered to Brian. I thought we were trying to get away from NASCAR's southern roots. It's as much of a surprise to me as it is to you. I mean, who expects a cute pony to be a hick? So what car number are you running? 24. Well, shoot, I don't think I've ever counted quite that high. Never was too big on fancy mathematics. That's like a 2 and a 4 together, right? Yes. I'm just curious how you run a successful apple orchard if you can't count. My brother Big Macintosh keeps the books. He's more the smart, silent type. Big and strong, too. Me, I'm much more outgoing and do the actual sales, publicity, and promotion, that kind of stuff. Right, replied Jeff, hoping that outgoing didn't mean the same as motormouth, as he could see his teammate Jimmy wasn't getting a bit of peace from the hyperactive pig pony. And last but certainly not least, may I present our first chase champion, Kurt Busch. Kurt, this is Fluttershy. She's somewhere around here anyway, he said as he looked around the room for the yellow Pegasus. Eventually, he caught sight of a long pink tail sticking out from behind the potted plant. There's no need to be shy. Kurt doesn't hurt anyone. Well, not anymore. Except reporters, his own crew members, and Jimmy Spencer, replied Tony Stark. Though I can't really blame him for the first one. Hi. Fluttershy was doing her best to hide behind both Remain and Rainbow Dash. In turn, Jeff shoved her across the room until she was standing next to the driver of the number 78. Either speak up so everyone can hear you, or get closer to who you're talking to, said Dash. Hi. Fluttershy tried again. Nice to, meet you? Yeah, whatever. Just stay out of my way. Okay, replied Fluttershy, quickly hiding behind Rarity and Dale Jr. That's no way to talk to Fluttershy! Rainbow Dash flew up so she was in Kurt's face. Oh yeah, and that's no way to talk to me, replied Kurt, shoving the blue Pegasus. Dash did an aerial somersault, straightened out, and then dive-bombed the Nascar driver's legs. He tumbled to the ground, and Rainbow Dash sat on his chest, glaring at him. Now, are you going to respect Fluttershy, or am I going to have to get rough? You might want to be careful, Rainbow. He likes it rough. He might leave his newest favor of the month for you, laughed Junior. It'd never work. We're not the same species. I'm a pony, and he's pond scum. Brian France silently berated himself. With the benefit of hindsight, this was turning out to be an absolutely terrible idea. He hoped the ratings boost would make this whole circuit worth it in the end. Okay, gentlemen, and Kurt Busch, can I please have you all pair up with your respective ponies for the photo op? Who has the brushes? Brushes? Asked Jeff Gordon. Yes, you're all supposed to pose brushing your pony's hair. It's going on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You mean I have to take my hat off? Asked Applejack. Oh, no. No one brushes my hair but me, added Rarity. I like my name made just the way it is, said Rainbow Dash. If I brush this purple unicorn's hair, I'm going to have to spend the next 3 weeks on my sofa wearing nothing but boxer shorts, watching football, monster trucks, and wrestling while drinking beer just to bring my masculinity levels back up, said Tony Stort. Everyone else in the room gagged at that mental image, human and pony alike. And on that lovely note, drivers, start your brushes. Brian France modified the usual command for the drivers to start their cars. Hundreds of photos were taken. One would ultimately grace the cover of the world's most prestigious sporting magazine, while others would appear on websites and at sports pages and newspapers across the country. All showed the same thing. Jeff Gordon was wearing Applejack's hat, and instead of Dale Jr. brushing Rarity's mane, the white unicorn was combing his hair. The other four driver-pony combinations were managing to be as normal as possible under his circumstances. Fluttershy was visibly cringing throughout most of the photo session, and Rarity eventually noticed and spoke up. I think you're brushing Fluttershy's hair a little too roughly, Mr. Busch. Am not. Actually, you, kinda are. You're pulling my hair every time you take a stroke. Stop hurting Fluttershy! Rainbow Dash's wings flare up in anger, and Bill Elliott started laughing uncontrollably. What's so funny? She snarled at the driver of the Nemco car. Your wing feathers are tickling me, said Bill between laughs. Oh, sorry about that. Rainbow tucked her wings back down on her sides. Does everyone have the pictures they need? Brian asked the gathered photographers. The old audits of France waved a checkered flag, signifying they could stop. Within seconds, 5 brushes hit the floor. Rarity, however, had no intention of stopping until Dale Jr. looked fabulous. Aw, Junior, you look so pretty, said Kurt. Who's a pretty little NASCAR driver? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. When I get away from this unicorn, I'm gonna kick your... Ahem. Rarity brought it in. Tush, finished Dale Jr. Much better, but a true champion always conducts himself with grace and sportsmanship. Let the losers taunt all they want, but you do not stoop down to their level. A true champion does his trash talking on the racetrack and lets his victories speak for themselves. Yes, Miss Rarity, replied Dale. Come on, Pony, said Kurt Busch. The press conference is over, so it's time for us to go. Oh, okay, whispered Fluttershy. She has a name, you know, said Rainbow Dash. Yeah, I'm sure she does, but I didn't exactly pay attention to it. It's Fluttershy, and I'm Rainbow Dash. Yeah, look, you want to know a secret? I really don't care. Why don't you go hang out with your has-been driver? You're nothing but a big bully, said Fluttershy. Oh, so you do speak. You will stop being a meanie to everybody you meet. You are not better than everyone else. Fluttershy glared at the NASCAR driver. Do you understand me? Kurt Busch found himself unable to look away from the yellow Pegasus' gaze. I said, do you understand me? You will stop being belligerent, egotistical, and violent. I will stop being belligerent, egotistical, and violent. So you understand me? Yes, Fluttershy. You will be a good NASCAR driver. You will be courteous, respectful, and you will never ever intentionally run into another driver ever again. I hear and obey, Fluttershy. Good. I'm glad we had this little discussion. So you want lunch, Fluttershy? My treat. What do ponies eat anyway? Well, we like a lot of things. Fruits and vegetables are great. We eat hay and flowers sometimes. And, oh, we love sweets like cupcakes and cookies. Fluttershy explained the diets of ponies as she and Kurt Busch left the press box. Rainbow Dash blinked a few times. Apparently, Fluttershy's stare was effective on humans. Hopefully, she would never try to use it against other ponies. She trotted over to Bill. I don't suppose you could give me a ride in your race car. Let me check with Brian real quick. Bill quickly whispered the idea to Brian France. That would be great, said Brian, relieved. Bill had just given him a way to salvage this press conference. Everyone, your attention, please. Bill Elliott is going to give Rainbow Dash a quick ride around the speedway. So, if all our esteemed media personnel will please follow me, I'll see to it that you get the best vantage point. Don't you want the rest of us to come along, too? Junior asked. That's up to your respective ponies. Who else wants to go for a ride? Asked Brian. Oh, me, said Pinkie Pie. It would greatly help my studies on NASCAR to experience it for myself. So yes, I like a ride also, added Twilight Sparkle. Yee-haw! Count me in, said Applejack. Why, I suppose that does sound like a lot of fun. Your hair is just dreadful, darling. There's so much more work that needs to be done, and if you put a helmet on over it, it'll just ruin all the progress I've made so far. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to decline the invitation. 4 drivers and ponies made their way to the garage area where the cars were parked, while the other 2 drivers and ponies headed for the parking lot. One pair to travel to a restaurant, the other to a nearby beauty salon. The four race cars puttered around Las Vegas Motor Speedway, following the pace car at a steady 55 miles per hour. The four ponies were rather disappointed that this was as fast as Brian would let them go. But without helmets or fire suits to fit them, he was unwilling to let the drivers open up their cars and show them what flirting with 200 miles an hour felt like. Boring, Rainbow Dash said as Bill slowly followed the SRT Viper pace car. At a fancy restaurant across town from the racetrack, Fluttershy and Kurt Busch sat waiting for their meals. Fluttershy had been appalled at seeing so much meat on the menu and so few vegetarian offerings. She couldn't imagine why anyone would want to eat her little woodland friends. So she had picked a simple salad. Kurt was going to order a steak, but a quick glance from Fluttershy made him change his order to a salad as well. Fluttershy looked around the restaurant while they waited for their meals. The walls were white, while the curtains and tablecloths were matching burgundy. But all of that was hardly noticeable in the candlelit room. Because both of them were celebrities, they had asked for a private table. Unfortunately, the only secluded areas were geared for romantic dinners, and hence the setting only added to the awkwardness between the two. Fluttershy felt a pang of guilt as she realized this must be an expensive place to eat. It meant there was only one thing to do. She would help Kurt Busch be a better person. Once their meals were in front of them, she asked, "So, Kurt, do you want to tell me why you have so much anger bottled up inside you?" "It's not anger, Fluttershy. It's competitiveness. I hunger to win races and championships, to be the best driver there ever was." "My friend Rainbow Dash is extremely competitive too. And she's not a violent sociopath. So let's try this again. Why do you have so much anger inside you?" Soon the NASCAR driver was pouring his heart out to the Pegasus. She responded by patting his hand with her hoof and assuring him that everything would be okay. "But I've wronged so many people over the years. How can I ever make up for that?" "You should write each and every one of them a letter of apology. It may not patch things up, but you'll feel better for having made the effort. And who knows, you might be surprised by how many people are willing to forgive you. You might even make some friends because of this." "That's a good idea, but I don't think you realize just how many letters I need to write." "Don't think of it as an insurmountable obstacle, but a goal to achieve. Write a few each day. Start with those you've hurt the most, and proceed from there." "You're right, Fluttershy. Thank you." "You're welcome." Rarity, on the other hand, had no desire to be discreet. They were celebrities, and she was determined that as many people as possible would see her make him look fabulous. Then not only would her talents be known across Equestria, but across Earth as well. As such, she had picked a salon in the middle of a highly trafficked mall to finish her makeover of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Disregarding the NASCAR driver's obvious discomfort, she set to work on his hair while telling him all about the dresses she made for her friends, her adventures with Camelot Elite, and finally about the dreadful time she had spent with Prince Blueblood at the Grand Galloping Gala. "Good men are so hard to find," she sighed. Dale Jr. cringed as the unicorn mare continued her incessant rambling. He had been starting to doze off, but the last comment woke him up. He couldn't blame the prince for not wanting to get saddled with a nag like this. Then it dawned on him. Was this pony flirting with him? He slid a cell phone out of his pocket and discreetly texted an associate of his while the unicorn continued talking about things that had no interest to him. "Oh, and just wait until I get back to my boutique. I have all your measurements, and I intend to make you an entire wardrobe of magnificent new ensembles. You will be dressing in style in no time." Dale racked his brain for ways to get even with Brian France for making him suffer through this indignity. Unfortunately, nothing he could come up with compared to the sheer torture he was currently going through. Then inspiration hit. Rarity? Yes, Dale, replied the unicorn, batting her eyelashes at him. He shuddered. Yes, she was definitely flirting with him. I was thinking that since Brian was so nice as to introduce us all, you should show him some gratitude as well. I mean, you're doing all this for me, but without him, you would never even met me. Gertie grasped. You're absolutely right. Why, I'll just have to get his measurements when we get back to the racetrack after dinner. Dinner? You were planning on eating at some point, weren't you, darling? Well, yeah, I guess that's a good idea. I'm sure this mall has a food court somewhere. A food court? Oh no, that simply won't do. You must not only dress for success, but you must eat for success as well. Dale rolled his eyes. Fine, we'll find a fancy restaurant more suited for your taste. Much to the driver's chagrin, there was no shortage of helpful bystanders willing to recommend places to dine. After asking what seemed like a dozen questions, Rarity finally picked one, and Dale drove him to it. Would you like to be seated with the other pony, miss? Other pony? Asked Rarity, incredulous. Yes, yellow, pink hair, has wings. She's been here about 2 hours now, consoling the gentleman she came in with. You must mean Fluttershy. Kurt Busch is crying? Yes, by all means we wish to be seated with him, replied Dale Jr., relishing the chance to dump the unicorn off on his fellow racer. He would just slip out, leaving Rarity alone with Kurt and Fluttershy. Kurt was obviously in no position to argue, so it was the perfect plan. We have a party requesting to be seated with you. Would you be willing to accept a Miss Rarity and a Mr. Earnhardt Jr. to your table? Asked the waiter. Why, of course, replied Fluttershy. The more the merrier, added Kurt Busch. Darlings, are you okay? Yes, Miss Rarity. Fluttershy has shown me the error of my ways, and from now on, I vowed to turn over a new leaf. Dale, I've done you wrong in the past, and all I can do is offer my apologies, and hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. He wrapped his arms around Dale, embracing him in the hug. Very good, Kurt. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? No, very good, Kurt. Very good, Kurt. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? I can't believe I messed up that bad. You're right, and it made me feel good. How about you, Dale? Honestly, I think I liked you better when you were an arrogant jerk who didn't hug people. Now, Dale, that is not the way to address someone who is offering a truly heartfelt apology. What do you say? Rarity admonished. Apology accepted, and I'm sorry too. I haven't always been nice to you either. Very good, the unicorn beamed as Dale excused yourself from the table. Hurry back, your meal's on me. I insist, said Kurt. As Dale walked towards the restroom, he weighed his options. He could make his hasty retreat now as planned, or he could wait until after dinner to do so. Whatever spell the yellow pony had him under was bound to wear off sooner or later, so if he was ever going to take advantage of Kurt's newfound generosity, it would have to be now. On the flip side, them out dealing with the unicorn for another hour or so, and the new and improved Kurt Busch was creeping him out too. He kept walking past the restroom and straight towards the parking lot. As he walked out of the building, he asked the maitre d' a favor. Would you mind letting the rest of my group know an emergency came up and had to leave? Sure, monsieur. He made it all the way to the parking lot before leaving, realizing his car keys were missing. He reached for a cell phone to call a cab. That was missing too. He swore long and hard at the pony. Then he walked over to the curb and started waiting for a taxi. When one finally stopped, he reached for his wallet, only to discover that that was missing as well. Never mind, he said to the taxi driver, sending him back on his way. What else did she take from me? It's a question he really didn't want to know the answer to. Back at the table, Rarity was twirling Dale's car keys with her magic. She sighed. I've been on enough dates to know when a stallion is about to bolt on me. I've never had one single date make it all the way to dessert. Why must I be cursed with such great looks, charms, and wit to the point where all the guys are intimidated by me? You do realize this isn't a date, right? But of course, darling. But guys are all the same, romantic interest in them or not. You just need to appeal to their sense of self. Make them feel important, desired. You know, that might be part of your problem, replied Kurt Busch. If a horse started flirting with me, I'd run away too, and taking his car keys probably won't stop him if he really wants to get away with you. When we're at the track, we have loaner cars provided by our sponsor, so he really doesn't have much motivation not to just abandon the vehicle. Oh, I figured as much. That's why I took this as well. She slid Dale's cell phone over to the other driver. One unread text, Kurt thought to himself, quietly reading it. You shouldn't read someone else's personal correspondence, Fluttershy admonished. But what harm is there in a little gossip? I say read it, replied Rarity. Kurt had already read the text by the time Fluttershy scolded him, and he was glad he did. He sent a return text assuring the other person that his services would not be necessary and there had just been a big misunderstanding. Out of curiosity, are there lawyers where you come from? Lawyers? No, I don't think so. Good. Looks like I'm going to help keep it that way, Kurt replied, depositing the cell phone back in front of Rarity. Dale Earnhardt Jr. returned to the skate table, scowling. Darling, I was wondering how you had gotten such an important emergency call when you left your phone here. Left my phone here? Funny how it seems I left my car keys and wallet here, too. Oh, yes, darling. Did you take anything else of mine I might want to know about? Well, Rarity blushed. Well, what? Rarity levitated a pair of boxer shorts over to the race car driver. I just wanted a sample of Earth's fabrics to compete against Equestria's, and this was the only garment you were wearing whose function I couldn't determine. Dale was now bright red from both embarrassment and anger. Just how did you get those off? Magic, of course. I'm going to go put these back on. I trust you'll not have any sudden emergencies on the way to the bathroom this time, darling? Fine, I'll be back. He walked towards the bathroom, muttering, forget going all the way to lap 16. I'm blowing the engine to lap 1 and making a break for the exit as soon as my car comes to a stop. Alrighty. Oh, this is going to be my longest video as of the moment. I didn't expect the chapter to be that long. Well, I don't know when I'm gonna upload this. Maybe I'll do it by tax day. Maybe you'll get a tax day special. That's dating this before April 15th. Oh, okay. So, anyway. Oh, goodness. I was thinking, okay, that was 5,000 words. No wonder why. God, I nearly just downed like 6,000 words there. And there's still longer chapters to come. The next one's 7,000 words. Holy crap. I might have to split some of these up or just record them in segments. Well, the fact that that was actually pretty much... I want to make as many breaks in the last chapter anyway. There's some other drivers that are gonna show up before the race. Might see a Gibbs driver or two. I didn't wrote this, but I read this multiple times. You're gonna have a bunch of names that you might have forgotten existed are gonna be in here. And yeah. This goes really crazy at some point. Anyway, that's all. If you actually made it this far, I applaud you. And I guess see ya next time.